A-E-1 source. I'm Tom. I release music under tomcbumpz. At the end of the day, I'm a music lover. So whether I'm making it or just around it, I'm happy. Soundscapey, ear-tickling sounds, that was like my path. And I was like, people liked it, I don't know. An ambient track on BandLab and post it. Yeah, I don't know, I just thought it was fun. I was like, I'm gonna post these. I found a lot of audience through that. I feel very happy lately, you know? I feel very happy, and I understand that these feelings come and go. So while I'm feeling these things, I'm just trying to take advantage of that, you know? Yeah. And I'm here at Sometime Somewhere for AT1 Radio. I was around like 18, and I was just like having fun making like what they called lo-fi beats, where I would usually sample like old jazz and soul stuff and just like put a drum break over it. And this page called Chilled Cow, they loved it. They loved that kind of stuff, and they were like creating a community around that whole sound, and they got kind of big, and it helped every artist who was like releasing music with them. But the only negative side to that was it was kind of creating a box where these artists, including myself, were only being discovered through these playlists. And listeners would just kind of like, you know, skim through the playlists and then study or relax or do whatever they do to it, you know. And I felt like I had more to show, so I kind of branched out of that sound naturally. Yeah, Chilled Cow ended up becoming Lo-Fi Girl, which is what it's still known for. And they're still doing the same thing. They're still, you know, putting on for lo-fi artists and beat makers, and I branched out of that world by just kind of making different type of music, and the type of music that they wouldn't put on their playlist purposefully. You know, I was happy when my stuff wouldn't get placed on their playlist, because I'm like, I don't want to be in that box anymore. Nothing against anyone who is in that world, because there's a lot of amazing producers, but it just wasn't for me. So I was like, I want to start making this like video gamey ambient type of stuff that I was already making, but I wouldn't show anybody, because like Chilled Cow was kind of like my income in a way, you know. So I was a little scared to step out of that box, but I'm really grateful that I did. I just wasn't getting much done. It felt like I was being very busy, but in the wrong direction. You know, I was like, you know, I was doing classes, I was doing well, but it just didn't seem like the direction I wanted to go in. And it was very much a party school, and I wasn't there for that. I was there to like learn and make friends who were trying to do the same thing as me. And I didn't really find much of that there. I found a lot of drugs, alcohol, partying, staying out all night, talking about nonsense, you know, and that's not me. That's not why I went there. That's not what I pursue in life. And I lasted about a year there until I was like 19, and then I left and moved to the city. It was around when I was 20 years old, I moved to Brooklyn, and luckily my friends from Albany were down to move in with me, and we all kind of lived together for a while, and we still do. But luckily, like we all had similar mindsets and similar like direction in where we wanted to go in life. So living with them definitely like inspired me, you know. Within the community, I feel like I was producing for a lot of different people, not only the people who I was friends with, but I was just trying to work with anyone. I was trying to get my foot in the door. I just moved to the city, and I was like, you know, anyone who I thought was cool, didn't matter if they had no music out or if they were just starting or if they were huge. I was like, I'm trying to work with you because this is what I'm trying to do and gain knowledge through that. But I feel like I had like a lot more to show than just producing music for people. And because, you know, as a producer, you kind of get brushed under the rug sometimes. You can spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, creativity on a project, and then no one really knows who you are as the producer. And at the time, I was doing both, releasing and producing music. So I was like kind of trying to shift more into releasing my own stuff, but producing for people and artists like definitely helped inspire me and meet people, you know. Yeah, so when I met Soli Had, I mean, he was like an artist doing his thing in Albany, which really inspired me because he was just so down to work. We had like, you know, similar styles, and he wouldn't just like take my work and then just use it for his own good. Like he would make sure that I'm there. He would make sure to like name drop me in interviews and stuff, and like talk about the work that we were doing together, and even as far as going on stage and like shouting me out in front of all of his fans, like thousands of people. But he like would bring me, he would like be like, yo, he would like look backstage and be like, yo, Tom, like come here. And I'd be nervous, you know, I'd be like, oh God. I would just go up, stand there, and he'd be like, yo, this is Tom. He's the one who produced this next song that I'm about to perform. And, you know, I've never experienced something like that before until he did that, and kind of opened my eyes as to like what I could be as a producer, you know. I guess like part of my breakthrough as an artist was social media. Even though I do not like social media, I don't really, you know, I wasn't really using it at the time, but I saw a lot of people who I knew getting a lot of recognition and fans, and just like through posting what, you know, expressing themselves through social media. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it. And I kind of did it in my way, which was, you know, I was making ambient music and I was just posting about it. And no one was really doing that at the time. Not that I knew of, but there wasn't a lot of that, you know. So I think when I started posting these weird experimental sounds that I was making, people on TikTok kind of like gravitated towards it, because normally all you would hear was like punk, pop, and all that kind of stuff, you know. And the more like soundscapey, ear tickling sounds, that was like my path. And I was like, yeah, I think people liked it. I don't know. BandLab. So I noticed on TikTok people literally blowing up, posting songs they made on BandLab. And BandLab is pretty much a DAW on your phone. So they would screen record something they made in BandLab and post it, and they would get millions of views, and people were like, they would make careers off of this. And I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. But it's always the same type of like genre that was being posted on. It was always punk. It was always like heavy stuff. And I was like, I want to try to like what if I post an ambient track on BandLab and post it? Because I don't know, I thought that was just funny. There was a little bit of humor in it. Because like I don't think you can make that kind of stuff in BandLab. That's not what it's meant for. So when I started posting those, people were like shook. They were like, how did you make this in BandLab? Yo, this is amazing. And I just wouldn't respond to the ones who were asking me how I would make it. Which, if you're watching this now, you know, and you commented that I didn't make those in BandLab, I made it in Ableton. But yeah, I don't know, I just thought it was fun. I was like, I'm gonna post these, and a lot of them went up, and I found a lot of audience through that. Yeah. What I find interesting is like the wide spectrum of my listeners. Like, for example, like I get people DMing me saying like, "Oh, your music really helps with like my autism," and I'm like, "Oh, that's beautiful," you know. And then I get, you know, the other side of the spectrum, which is, yo, I got pretty high to this. I don't know if I could say that, but it was a real thing though. It's really interesting how wide of the spectrum is, like people doing, you know, substances to my music, and then on the other side is like helping with their mental illness or whatever they go through every day, you know. So last week I just did my first live performance right here at Audio-Technica, and that alone in of itself was a trip for me, because I've had Audio-Technica gear since like the 6th grade, man. So it's like being here performing my first live show was like a beautiful full circle moment. And I was definitely nervous because I've never performed live before. I've never been that close to people while performing my music. I didn't know how it would be received since it is very calming music that you would normally listen to alone. And I mean, it went really well. People received it. People gathered around. It was a good time. Performing was definitely, it felt like it came natural, even though I was nervous. But I grew up like playing improvised piano. So naturally, I went into the show like not really knowing what I was going to do because that's where I'm most comfortable. It's just playing off the top of my head. But I did have backing tracks that I had made. Like, I went crazy the week before. I made a bunch of backing tracks and I practiced a little bit to them, but I was like, I don't even want to really practice. I want to just kind of like play what comes to my mind in the moment. And that's what I did. And once there's like a crowd of people looking at me, like expecting something, it's a weird feeling that I've never had that feeling before, you know? So it was all new, but it was a beautiful thing. It was like, I want to experience these things, you know? That risk component in a live performance definitely is like fun. At the end of the day, I'm a music lover. So whether I'm making it or just around it, I'm happy. And currently, I've been feeling like very grateful with the community I'm around, with where I'm at personally, not only with my music career, but even just mentally and emotionally and physically. I've just been like taking advantage of this time in my life where I feel like I'm in a really good space right now. And it's just a beautiful thing after everything we've been through and all the time that was spent and energy that was spent. It feels like it's finally like paying off in not only a way like career-wise, but just life-wise. It's like such a beautiful thing, like playing at Audio-Technica, doing my first live show, releasing these projects that I'm like really passionate about, and people like receiving them in a good way. I feel very happy lately, you know? I feel very happy, and I understand that these feelings come and go. So while I'm feeling these things, I'm just trying to take advantage of that, you know? Yeah.
A-E-1 short.
At Sometimes Somewhere is produced by Audio-Technica for AT1 Radio. It is recorded at AT1 Studio at Technica House, New York. Follow AT1 Radio and Audio-Technica USA on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening.